Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be explaining the ability of Elusive and why I think it's actually one of the best abilities in the game. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more content and information. Elusive is one of the most powerful effects in the game, in my opinion. Its ability to prevent the enemy from gaining AP is huge, especially when considering that the general rule of thumb in the game is whatever team rushes the most usually wins the most. So the way Elusive works, a character under the effect of Elusive won't cause enemies to receive any AP from the damage it causes when attacking. And any enemy attacking a character under the Elusive effect won't earn AP from their attack either. Now, most people are very aware of how Elusive works in the second half of this explanation, but more often than not, they're not aware of how the initial part works, or specifically, how you can leverage Elusive to your advantage, not just on defense, but also on attack. One of, if not the most notable Elusive toon is Raven. Raven is a character that I don't personally have, but my girlfriend does, and she was happy to shoot some film for me. So while we're looking at Raven, we'll look at her as a total package. Her rush, 76 AP, deals 650% damage to a line of enemies. Those enemies also get impaired, minus 20 AP is applied, and up to 2 teammates regain 60% of their max HP. So that rush is pretty good. It's all-encompassing, it does some damage, it impairs, it stops rushes with the AP drain as well, and it heals some of the teammates. Her specialist skill, Indomitable, makes her more difficult to kill, but her best ability is her active skill. It's a turn 1 elusive active skill. There's also some AP gain, but it's less important in my opinion. So on the first turn, if you use her active skill, all other teammates get elusive for 2 turns. What this means is that the other 4 toons on this team, whether they're attacking or being attacked, they will not give any AP to the enemy, whether that's an offensive toon or a defensive toon. And in my opinion, this ability is so underrated and undervalued that I think it's just not talked about because people are unaware that you could use this toon on offense to a lot of effectiveness. Raven also has a pretty unique weapon. She has a special third slot where when being attacked, a 50% chance for the enemy to get minus 40 AP, which again just helps prevent the enemy from gaining any AP. Holly is another toon that can cause elusive to all other teammates, but hers is on her rush. You can get this rush to go off on the first turn with a right combination of toons, weapons, and command toons. Another more available toon is Moira. Her active skill also has elusive and focus. Unfortunately, this ability is a turn 3 ability, which is why I don't think Moira has ever been really effective. Her active skill is just too slow to be effective. And just to show some gameplay on how you could use Raven on attack, by using Raven's active skill at the start of the match, even though the 4 toons dogpiled Marlon and Rosie gained no AP. This is because the 4 toons that attacked him all were under the influence of Elusive. The only toon that can give AP to the enemy is Raven, and Raven has that special 50% chance to do minus 40 AP to the enemy, which makes her an unideal target unless you have a toon that can disarm her. Raven, although is a conventionally defensive toon, works really well on an offensive team. It really prohibits the enemy from being able to rush, and if you're able to incorporate a toon like Angel, like Leopo, or any other toon that has exhaust, you can also prevent the enemy from using unnatural AP gains. When you consider how much of a game actually depends on rushes, it'll help make you realize how valuable a toon like Raven or even Holly is. There really is some untapped potential with these toons, and the only area in the game that I can think of where you don't want a rush is in Onslaught. And Onslaught is a very specific part of the game, and when we look at the other areas where we do want to rush, like in raids, in war, in survival road, in arenas, territories, and even hordes if they ever come back, Elusive is one of the best abilities that you can bring to your team. Raven is a toon that I've been trying to get for a long time now, and I still don't have her. There is one location in the game where I could potentially get her, but the odds of that are so low. She was in a past war wheel, but I was unable to pull her from there. Right now, I can collect prestige tokens and try to get her from that wheel, but I'm pretty sure the odds are a 9% chance of getting an ascendable, and with multiple ascendables on the prestige wheel, the odds of getting the exact toon that I want is very, very low. Raven does have some faults, of course, where her skill, it being an active skill, can easily be stopped if there's an angel lead because of a daze ability, but there are also daze resist mods that you could put onto Raven so that she can still be utilized on the first turn. She's also used on a lot of defensive teams, and I would actually put her on my defensive team, because in theory, if I were to run Angel as well as Raven, Angel's Exhaust would help prevent unnatural AP gain, while Raven would help prevent normal AP gain. If it didn't help my defensive team kill the opponent, it would at least help my defensive team last a bit longer so that the attacker would take more turns to defeat my defense. And in war, it's all a timing game. Simply put, the longer it takes for the enemy to destroy your team, the longer you will have to destroy theirs in war. Another practical application of using Elusive on attack is if you run characters that use splash weapons, because splash weapons give away AP to the adjacent targets that it hits. Now, this type of weapon is usually found on Krista or the Gentleman because of their waist knot ability and high attacking power, but for this case, we're using it on Piper. This is just a mock team thrown together just to show you how the splash weapon and Elusive will work together. So we're first going to show the case where we don't use Raven's Elusive. Without using Raven's Elusive, it means that the splash weapon will give AP to the other characters, as seen by the bottom Shiva, who now has more AP. This can be exceptionally dangerous because you could trigger other toons that could then rush on the very next turn. Splash weapons are very difficult to run because they give away AP very quickly, and is the reason why I think you should always run an Elusive character if you're running a toon that has a splash weapon, especially against S-class toons in the S-class era, where toons have more defense and more HP, and it's less likely that you'll be able to kill the opponent outright with mere basic attacks. Now, the other type of weapon that causes a lot of issues for people when attacking is rampage weapons. Because rampage weapons, if they don't end up killing the other toons, they do give AP to them, which can definitely cause a lot of frustration. But, just like Splash, the Elusive ability can prevent other enemies from gaining any AP when Rampage goes off. Big shout out to FaZe for providing me with this footage, because although I have Rampage, I don't have Elusive. And so here we see the example. Priya's Rampage goes off and there's no AP gain. Now I guess you could say that Elusive is an elusive ability for me. I've tried to pull for Holly in the past, and I've tried my hardest to get myself a Raven. And I think my offense and my defense would improve significantly if I got myself a Raven. This would probably be one of the first defensive teams that I would try to use Raven in, and the reasoning behind it is because Mercer as a lead creates that potential to stun the enemy on the first turn. Angel, with her active exhaust, would prevent the enemy from being able to use unnatural AP gains, so like Dr. Stevens, Gal, Michelle's active skill, Princess's active skill also gains 35% AP, which would be 30%, which would be 1500 exhaust or maim damage. If I had Raven in on this team, her elusive ability would prevent any normal AP gain if she was able to use it on the first turn. I have Princess, who can do a crazy amount of damage on her rush, an active skill that works on the second turn to taunt as well as normalize 3 enemies, and then I have Priya as my damage dealer, who has a rampage weapon that doesn't need to rush to apply a high amount of damage to the offensive team. Regarding an attack team that I could try using, I could use Priya lead with a rampage weapon, Xander as my command because he can also disarm with his active skill, Princess for the reasons I've mentioned before, as well as Mercer, but by having Raven in, it means my rampage weapon would not give AP away, which would make it safer to run a very aggressive attack team. And finally, a more free-to-play friendly defensive team that you could make would be an Angel lead, Raven, S-Class Ivanova, who's from the Season Store, Xander, who is also in the Season Store, and Cole, who's been a war toon a few times, and I think has been available on a few wheels. So this team would work well, I think, as a free-to-play defense because an Angel lead would prevent the enemy from using turn 1 active skills. So like Dr. Stevens wouldn't be able to rush on the first turn. And that also means you have the exhaust ability. You would have Raven, who can give Elusive to your whole team and have that AP down weapon. You have Ivanova, who on the second turn can apply focus to your whole team, which means you won't be affected by taunt or confuse. You have Xander, who's a good command toon, which would help your team rush a little faster. You can also slot in either your James or your Krista that you got for free as well, as just a bit of a damage dealer. And then, as many of you know, I'm a big Cole fan, and what I like about Cole is that his active skill is a turn 1 active skill that can taunt the enemy, up to 3 enemies actually, and cause minus 50% attack. And his rush also does the exact same thing, as well as pain splits him. So he can be quite annoying to deal with, and by cutting the opponent's attack in half, it means they're dealing less damage to you, and it'll take longer to actually attack you. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video. I hope you guys learned something about the skill Elusive.